Hi, my name's Vivian Timmermans. I am a birth mother and I was 16 when I fell pregnant. I was Australian figure roller skating champion and I won that championship 7.5 months pregnant, and I then gave my baby up for adoption. I decided to give my baby up for adoption as I was living in Inala, a low socio-economic suburb in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, and I did not want to be a single mother. I did not want to live with my parents with a baby. I wanted to do something with my life. I wanted to represent Australia for the World Championships. I wanted a good job. Having a baby just wasn't an option. To this very day, I do not know how I decided to give her up for adoption. I don't know how I did it. Why I decided to adopt my baby was I really believed in my heart that a baby needs a mother and a father to raise them in a loving environment, and I couldn't offer her that. I wasn't financially, able to look after a child. I was a single mum. I was living with my parents, and I didn't want that for her. In those days, it was an embarrassment, and you brought shame onto your family. You didn't get any help from the government. You didn't get free housing. You didn't get help with electricity. You didn't get a baby bonus. You absolutely got nothing. You were on your own, literally, and she deserved better. I have no regrets with my decision. I still remain strong to this very day that I did the right thing. After meeting her parents, her mother and father, Bruce and Sandra, I was meant to have that baby for them. When my mother found out, I was already 8 months pregnant, and so when I went into labour, she really didn't have a lot of time to process what was happening, and I just immediately said, she wanted to go out and get the cot and get everything for this baby and in preparation, and I said, Mum, I'm adopting this baby, you don't have to worry about that. So and I have so much admiration for that woman who supported my decision. How Mum coped with that decision, I honestly don't know. I know that to this very day, she wanted to bring my baby home and she wanted to look after that baby. The nurses and the doctors actually encouraged her to support my decision, and I'm very thankful for that, because I'm not angry at her. I don't have any regret that she helped that decision, because we did the right thing. The hardest decision that I had to make about this whole adoption scenario was actually telling my husband. As young teenagers, we were living up in Airlie Beach, and we were drunk as skunks, and I decided that this was a man that I wanted to be with, and I really loved him, and I would tell him that I had a baby and gave her up for adoption. Well, he went off his nut, and it wasn't the fact that I had a baby, but it was the fact that I gave her up for adoption. Boxing Day 1985-86, we've been together ever since. Years later, we've actually married. We're still together, and we have 2 beautiful children, Airlie, named after Airlie Beach, and Liam. Natasha fits into our family just like she was always there. Peter's known Natasha as long as I've known Natasha, which is really quite a strange thing, but she's as much as his daughter as she is mine. Jason was with Natasha from the very first day we met in Queen's Park, and she later on married Jason, and they now have a beautiful daughter and have given us a lovely granddaughter, Chloe Rose, and she actually calls Peter Poppy and she calls me Nanny, so they're very much part of our family now. My story begins the day that I was staying in the kitchen watching my 2 little ones play outside in the garden with their toys, and the phone rings, and I pick up the phone, and the young girl on the other end of the phone asks me that she thinks that I'm her birth mother. I actually thought somebody was playing a prank, and I started to laugh, and then quickly I was processing it, thinking, well, I haven't really talked to anybody about this, so who would be pranking me? Nobody would be pranking me. And my first question to make it real for me to her was, okay, so what did I name you when you were born? And her answer to me was, you named me Sheree. And that made it real for me. At that moment, I felt relieved that finally this day had come. Finally I was, I was confused as well. And then I looked out the window, and then I was thinking of my husband. I went, oh my God, does he remember? Doesn't he remember? I'm going to have to tell him. Do I tell him? Do I keep her a secret? All these questions were going through my mind, and talking to her at the same time. I actually asked her, look, can I hang up and I'll call you back? Because I just needed to process it. And then I just went into the bedroom, and I just sat on the floor, and I just went in, just kept asking myself all different questions. And about an hour or two later I called her back, and the rest is pretty much history now. I soon learned that when I named her Sheree, but she was actually brought up with the name Natasha Rose. When I decided to meet Natasha, we had decided that to meet on neutral ground, so we met at Queen's Park in Ipswich, and that day changed the rest of my life pretty much. I was really, how I felt that day that we met, I was really nervous. I didn't know whether she was going to be angry at me. I didn't know whether she really wanted to know me. I just really wanted to know what she looked like and how healthy she was, and did she look like me, and yeah, I just really wanted to look at her, pretty much. I look at her eyes, she has my eyes, they're blue with the dark circles around them. I look at her body, she's the same shape, we actually stand exactly the same, we talk the same, we laugh the same, we have the same sort of sense of humour, yet I've had no influence in her life for 18 years. It's amazing. And we did a lot of staring at each other. All we did was just stare at each other. When I met Natasha, she had only just turned 18. In fact, she was given my details from the government when she turned 18. So she learnt very quickly that my last name was Gittins, and she was born in Brisbane. So she looked up the white pages, and every Gittins in the phone book then was related to us. And unbeknownst to her, she got her great-grandmother. Natasha's adopted mother and father are Sandra and Bruce, and they very first took her to Toowoomba when they first got her. They were living in Toowoomba, and then most of their family and friends were in Dubbo, so they moved back down and returned to Dubbo, where she was raised. They're beautiful country people, and it's funny that after meeting them, it turns out that Sandra could have children, but Bruce couldn't, and they didn't want to do the IVF thing because Bruce wasn't really comfortable about them having a baby that he wanted her to have a baby that was neither theirs. So that they chose to adopt. They had to wait 10 long years before they got Natasha, and they were later asked if they wanted to have another child, and they said no, because of the gift that they were given. They didn't want to be greedy and take another child. They actually wanted somebody else to feel the gift that they were given, and that's the type of beautiful people they are. Not only that, when I met Sandra in the park, afterwards we went to a tavern for lunch, and Sandra presents me with this album that she had put together for Natasha's mother, birth mother, from the day that she got Natasha right up until the day that I met her. Who does that? You know, only special people do that. And I have she has a soft spot in my heart.